Good afternoon, everyone. It's my greatest pleasure to be here with Ishaan Sarkar, alumni from IHM Aurangabad, currently donning an amazing role as CEO, Chief Business Officer, at Food Services. Ishaan, welcome to the studio. Thank you for taking our time. I know you have a really, really busy schedule, but thank you for taking our time. Uh, we are looking forward to you mentoring loads of students, loads of people who want to choose the hospitality industry as their career. Really, really appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zubin, for having me over. It's an absolute pleasure. And IHM holds a very, very special place in my heart. And it has kind of given me a leverage of whatever little I've been able to achieve. So it'll be a pleasure to impart a little bit of two pence, whatever that I can, to ensure that some people get influenced on the journey ahead in their life.
Well, if there's nothing else that I can tell you that IHM has allowed you to achieve, it must be humility, because you've been VP Asset Management RMZ, you're Chief Business Officer, Food Services. You've been, in so many hospitality industries. You've been in PVR. You've been at. You've had this amazing thing where you've started your own venture, and you were partner in Malt and Salt. I love the name, Malt and Salt. That
Thank you.
says everything. You are a passionate food and beverage individual. You've moved from hardcore operations to retail to consulting. You've done so much. Why the humility?
Uh, I think when I look at people, I think a lot of people have done a lot. What I would like to measure it, have I been able to give enough? And what you mentioned really sounds good. I feel good about myself. So thank you very much.
No,
I think
I mean,
I need this session more
I
than
have not
anybody else, I
mentioned.
think.
I've not mentioned everything. Mad over hospitality. My
Uh,
God,
yeah.
I remember it from back in the day, and I think it was amazing, because I was in a company that I was corporate chef at that point in time, that was building mad over donuts, and moving from that to this is amazing. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so you know, so without me interrupting you too much again, I really loved what you just said. You want to measure your worth by what you have given back. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Sure. So, I'll go back a little back in time, and I'm going to share something a little personal as well. Um, and when I joined IHM in 1994 with the second batch, okay, IHM was not even ready. Okay, the locker rooms were still being built, the auditorium was still being built. Okay, now I think you guys have a tuck shop. There was no tuck shop those days. We used to go across the road to have cutting chai. That's all we could afford in those days. But IHM has been family to me. Okay, um, I don't know if very few people would know that I met my wife in IHM, and we are actually the first couple of the IHM Aurangabad. So we've been together for 32 years now, and this December we just finished our 25th anniversary.
Awesome.
So thank you. So stability. It has given me a lot of stability. Okay. When we went in the industry, okay, there were a lot of unlearnings that were there, but we did feel that there was an edge always. Okay, there was a sharpening of the saw. Taj, thankfully, got us back and made us do Huddersfield, and that was a brilliant thing that happened. Um, we were also taught we had classes on communication, we had classes on finance, accounting, we had classes on, of course, the four main departments in the industry. We were given a lot of exposure whenever there was anything coming up at the Taj, whether in Fort Aguada in Goa, there was a strike in those days. And as a first year, we were sent there to manage. There was I have been in the opening of about nine odd hotels across Taj, and that kind of exposure. So we were in one department, and in the morning we were in the second department in the evening, and we learned by actually dirtying our hands, right? So and today when I meet young students, and I also came back at the fag end of my career with the Taj Group at IHM. Jyoti and me both were posted at IHM for about just short of 2 years, and as faculty at IHM Aurangabad. And that was very difficult time because suddenly from a pre-Google era, we came into post-Google era where we had, I think I studied much more than ever when I was a student versus when I was a faculty, because the students were much more smarter than us and they were much more informed and everything. So whenever I get a chance to give back a little bit of knowledge, and whichever organization I have been to, I've signed a lot of MOUs with a lot of colleges to get students on board, start management training programs, and ensure that L&D departments are set up in the organizations. Because if the foundation is not strong, then I can't scale any business. So yeah, a little bit that's what I'm trying to do.
There were things that you said that just threw back so many memories. And one of them was that strike which took place in Fort Aguada Taj Holiday Village. I
Yes.
remember that so well. So this was December of 94. The strike was announced on the 24th of December, just
Right.
at the beginning of the tourist season. I was there and I was working in the housekeeping department under Kannamma Babu.
Right.
I
Okay.
remember that
Nice.
so well.
Small world.
And I was, yeah, I spent the entire Christmas vacation, okay, working in the Fort Aguada, sleeping in the in the pantry rooms. We were sleeping in the pantry rooms because we couldn't step out of the hotel. I don't know if you remember that, because there were angry
Very
crowds
true.
apparently outside.
We were
And
actually we had got accommodation somewhere, and we were going in the bus. We were shot at, so hence we were
you were
also
shot at.
shifted. We were shot at, and the bus was. I mean, people had shot 2 rounds. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, and we all went back. Then Mr. Rajiv said, then I mean, he's also another great chef who became area GM. And
Right.
he said that no way, you guys have to stay in the hotel. So we all stayed in the hotel. In the morning, we used to set up breakfast. Then we used to go to housekeeping, and thereafter we used to again go back to F&B to do lunch service. Then again go back to housekeeping. And I remember there was a comment card that had come from one of the guests, because Mr. Seth and all the HODs were doing the same thing. They were working, housekeeping, F&B, and all that. And so they must have seen one of these. They said GM, probably Mr. Seth or one of the HODs. They were making beds, okay, clearing laundry and everything. And during lunch, obviously, he would go to the restaurant and eat food. And the comment that said, this is the first hotel in the world where a housekeeping boy is allowed to eat in the restaurant. It's so good. Because that person, the guest never knew that, he's probably the GM or the HOD. So stayed with me all these years. And also, you spoke about humility. I think we've been very lucky to work under such great stewardship and leaders who grew up the ranks and actually taught us a lot. So yeah.
So let's shift that to the modern generation. Imagine the same scenario 30 years ago. Imagine that scenario today. Imagine we catch Gen Z and we say this is expected from you. Okay. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Okay. So I'm just going to throw up both sides of the arguments. Gen Z says, why should we work if you don't pay us the money? And our generation, baby boomers, Gen X, whatever we were, we say we should work because it's the right thing to do and we can't let the ship sink. So, two sides of the coin. One says it's the right thing to do, but even though it's somebody else's business, even though somebody else is reaping profit. And the other says it's the right thing to do, provided that I'm compensated, which is also a right argument. Which side would you be on and what would you believe in?
So I'm going to have a mixed reaction to that. Okay, I think our generation, and I would put you in the same bracket, I think is failing miserable to understand Gen Z. Okay, completely. Okay, first is it's not about the money; it's about creation of wealth. Right, wealth could be monetary, wealth could be knowledge, wealth could be experience. Okay, today if you see, it's not about the food. Okay, it's not about social media, it's about what is selling is experience. Okay, but you go to any service industry, you go to the banks, you go to airlines, you go to cruises, you go to vacation, hospitality, restaurants, anywhere, it's the experience that sells. And including I would say including IHM Aurangabad from 1994, and you've been in OCLD to today. Okay, we are not just selling education, we are selling an entire experience. Okay, whether it's the sports, whether
Absolutely.
it's the education, whether it's the hostel rooms, whether it's the food, the tuck shops, the co-curricular activities, etc., the participation of international with international colleges, affiliations, etc. It's all about the experience. Okay, now from an industry perspective, what I feel, okay, now today, I was the chef at Chambers. Okay, at that point in time, it would have been one of the best. Zodiac Grill in Chambers were one of the probably the finest restaurants in the country. Okay,
Absolutely.
and I've been lucky to have trained there. But today, what I do is I'm serving 300,000 meals, the 3 lakh meals per day across the country. Every day I serve that. Okay, through central kitchens, to from on-site kitchens, etc. What I feel is what is missing is, and this is something that I really want to share with you because we take a lot of interviews, we hire a lot of people. We have a staff strength of about 95,000 people today.
Wow.
Uh, just in Blue Spring, when we were Quest before the demerger, we were the largest employer in the country with 7 lakh employees. But at Blue Spring, we have 95,000 employees, all in service category. And what I feel when we take interviews, people have lost the basics. Okay, and that is something to do with their education also in our sector. Okay, I today if somebody tells me, "Can you smell rosemary?" I can smell rosemary. I can smell thyme. I can smell jeera. Okay, I would know how a dal is boiled and what is the consistency of it in between my fingers. I know ek muthi mein how much of sugar or flour will come, right? So I think that basic thing is missing. The 5 senses that we have and correlation of with along with food. Okay, I think that is missing. The blind tasting is completely missing. That basic, if you sort out, okay, a lot of things will get this thing. Because today, what my business is basically is dal chawal sabzi. I'm doing very very basic, but my business model is all about mass. Right? It's nearly a 500 crore business that we handle in food itself, and it's very basic food, everyday ghar ka khana, but that's what sells. So, I think from it's not about the paisa, it's more about wealth creation. It's also about timing because uh, today's generation doesn't have the because of so many distractions, they can't get fixated on a particular thing. Okay, I don't think they would see something for 10 minutes. It's all about those couple of seconds of reel. So our the way we would also need to treat them is pretty much like that. They're very, very fast today. So very difficult. I mean, easier said than done, but yeah, that's reality of life.
Yeah. So I love what you just spoke about, the sensory part of it, like that smelling rosemary, checking whether dal is cooked or something. Now, because you brought up education, I'm just coming to a different aspect of education. In the first part of the conversation, you said when you came back to teaching, you were confronted by a Google generation. Now it's moved even faster. There's Google, there's WhatsApp, there's Instagram, and all different facets of
GPT.
food. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, chat GPT. But you see, when Instagram, when somebody puts out food that looks superbly pretty, and we believe that that's the way food should be. We don't focus on taste, we don't focus on texture, we don't focus on flavor, we don't focus on aroma, you know. And food is the only thing that involves all five senses. Everything else, it's two, three senses max. Five senses, only food. And actually eating food. And now when you come to this, should education be spoon feeding, where we do all this for them, or should there be an element of research involved? Should they be saying that, you know what, I am going to walk into this I'm going to walk into this room, and I'm going to get this much input from my professor, but I have to do 75% research myself? Is which one is the right way forward?
So when there is no right way, unfortunately, but I'll give you my side of the story from whatever experience I've got. Okay. Today, when I hire somebody, okay, I would love for him to understand, okay, uh, if he knows how to make mayonnaise, okay. Nobody in my kitchen makes mayonnaise. I mean, we probably using, let's say, a ton of mayonnaise.
Get mayonnaise.
Okay, so but nobody makes it anymore. Okay, I would want him to understand what are the methods of cooking, what are the basic gravies, because everything else, yes, everything else thereafter is a subsidiary, right? But if you know your basics very well, if you understand that if I grill a meat, okay, then I broil a meat or I boil a meat, or if I put a meat in the tandoor, okay, I roast the meat, I bake the meat, I put a meat under a sous vide. What is the reaction that goes into it? Okay, that's why I spoke about blind tasting. Also, the first year, okay, why would you want a first year person who's just coming to the industry, okay, and probably the generation that is there, they already probably a lot of them would own restaurants. Okay, they would have been to a lot of restaurants. Some of them would own hotel chains, etc. Also, why would they be more focused on a presentation? Presentation is important, but probably third year, okay, when you're exposed to the industry, or in the final year. Okay, today I think you guys are into 4-year courses.
Absolutely.
First year is drilling down, purely about your sensories of how food reacts, the art and science of food, right? Including if you go to housekeeping, I remember what is the thread count of a bed sheet, or the towel, what cleaning agents needs to be used, where or what at what surfaces and why, right? How much time would you actually need to clean a room with a carpet or with a wooden floor? What is the how does a varnish or this thing would react to what kind of floor material and thing like that? So the first year is all about basics, and I think that is what was taught to us. We got into plate presentation a lot later, the and with the kind of exposure that is there, of course, Instagram being one of them, then all these MasterChef Australia and the other programs that come. Okay, I mean, there is no dearth of presentation, but when I'm paying the dollars, okay, and I'm putting the first bite in my mouth, and if it doesn't taste good, then what's the point?
Absolutely. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there, that basics are important. But I mean, obviously we don't want this to be a complaining session.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you something. Do you think that even though we focus on, let's say, the basics, I think an older generation, because they didn't have access to ready knowledge, like you didn't have access to a chat GPT, you actually had to
Read
refer,
books,
read
read books,
books. Yeah,
write,
yeah,
send couriers in emails, and if your project
yeah,
got selected, I mean, I remember I was doing a pot still, a working model of a pot still, and Mr. Tukulia came and destroyed that entire thing because we actually made the first this thing, so and it was a couple of this thing from Scotland and all that. They had sent videos and things like that for our research. So to answer your question, research, I think research is equally important. Okay, because till the time they research, they will not own it. Today they will not
absolutely.
take, because you are so accomplished and so are your faculty, but they will not trust you just because you're saying, not on your face value for sure. Till the time they read and till the time they research, and it can be any medium, Google, Chat, GPT, etc., etc. Unfortunately, too much of, too much of knowledge is available today. It might confuse them, but a secondary research or a primary research is very, very important for them to own the entire thing what they are gunning towards.
And I do want students to challenge us. I do want them to keep put us on our toes and all. But the question that I was getting at, the research that you did or our generation did, do you think that kind of, when you're talking about basics, do you think that rewired our brains to thinking differently? So maybe the education hasn't changed. I mean, the delivery method hasn't changed, let's say. Do you think it's a recipient issue, or how can we fix that? Because I don't think it's isolated to IHM Aurangabad or Maharashtra or India. I think it's a worldwide phenomena, and people are, behavioral and cognitive scientists are writing about this incessantly, that we are raising a dumber and dumber generation. Elon Musk is going mental the other side. He's trying to make higher education redundant, so that they can, a conspiracy theory would say, so that they can control an entire population, which I don't totally disagree with. But what do you think we can do to break this? Because this is an incessant cycle, it's unending.
Right. So let me answer it in two different ways. Okay. First is, if you give them a curriculum, okay, and you tell them that chapter one is this, chapter two is this, chapter three is this, you read, this is what will come in the exam. Okay. So they are kind of bottled up, they're cramming everything, maybe not understanding. The guy who can cram more, okay, will score more marks. But it's not about the marks. Okay. But the moment you say it's research based, remember, I mean, when we did our dissertations and things like that, we used to go to a lot of industry leaders to take interviews, okay, for our research work. And that was probably the model that even MBAs, people in doing MBAs used to do. And I'm telling you now today, 30 years, nearly 30 years later, okay, when I am looking at starting a new vertical of a company, okay, there is so much of analysis and research that is done. When we are starting a new restaurant, okay, or we're looking for a location for a hotel, or we are trying to buy out a company, okay, for a merger and acquisition, okay, there is so much of research that is required to be done in various parameters, whether it's marketing, whether it's location, whether it's financials, and a background check.
Essentially, your due diligence.
Yeah, absolutely. Due diligence is required. And unless and until you've gone through that entire research-based education, you will never be able to follow through, because education never gets wasted, right? So instead of, creating people who are bottled up and have their blinkers on and just go chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, I think it doesn't work. Research really helps. It just kind of opens up, and they will ask much more intelligent questions, and you will get them ready for the industry. And their journey in life.
Wonderful. And that brings me to another other beautiful question, which you're kind of leading me into, is very often, and I have loads of parents that I speak with, and they totally believe, यार hotel में काम नहीं करना. But I look at your journey and so many other alumni from IHM Aurangabad. You're talking about mergers and acquisitions. You're talking about due diligence. You're talking about taking over companies. You're talking about, you're talking about building a company ground up. You're talking about consulting, and it's not always in a space that you were actually originally exposed to. You start off in hotels, but now you've moved into a mass kind of operation, which involves logistics, which enjoys supply chains, it involves financing, and a lot of other things, pre-openings, for example. And how did your education prepare you for that? And because it's not that halfway through, just before the next job, you can go and get a fresh set of education. But having started off in hospitality, having started off in culinary, how did your initial education prepare you for this wide world?
Okay, I'm going to say something, Zubin. You've taken me back memory lane, and God bless. I mean, my dad, he was a general in the army when he retired, and God bless his soul. In 1994, when the opportunity of Fort Aguada came about, okay, there was a consent form that was supposed to be signed by the parents. I faxed this thing to my dad, okay, and he signed it, and thereafter he speed posted. Those days only speed post was there. 6 more forms, okay, which was signed and not dated. He said, whenever you get an opportunity, don't wait for me, because he was in areas where I could not contact him. And those days it was STD calls, which is damn expensive, right?
Yeah, I know.
And
3 minutes, 20 rupees. I remember.
Yes.
Pocket money for the week.
So first thing was, I think it's not on the parents, okay? We were not very protected, and we looked for more opportunities. I'm the first person, and I'm the 13th generation in my family, as per the family tree, but the first in the hospitality industry, and I have no regrets. Okay, I think the industry, and especially the kind of education or the exposure that I got in IHM Aurangabad. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep calling it IIHM. But IHM Aurangabad is it nearly got me ready. And if any parent today asks me, hotel mein kaam nahi karna, I mean, the choice is completely yours. Nobody is forcing you. But if you want to get ready for the world, there is no better industry than the hotel industry. Okay, you get to network. Okay, you get to see lifestyle. Okay, you need to you get to experience luxury. You get to understand psychology of clients, different levels of clients. Okay, and you can survive in literally any service industry, which is literally every industry. I mean, every industry is selling something, right? So there is a service involved. So if somebody is saying that you are not, I don't want my child to, it's not about the hotel industry. It's about gearing up for life, literally, right? And now, particularly from the hotel industry, and I would say hospitality and tourism industry today, okay, because we are so closely connected. The next 2 decades, it's a winning industry. Look at the GDP of the country and the way the infra is going on. We are at, IMF has said a month back that we are at 8.08%, which is, global leader. So next 2 decades, the hospitality industry is gonna go through the roof. And the kind of focus the entire international brands are looking at, whether it's medical tourism, whether it's leisure tourism, whether it's, in India, domestic tourism, and so on and so forth. I think it's brilliant. And
No,
and I'll tell you personal experience. Sorry, I'm going to take 30 seconds more. If you
no,
go
no,
through my
take it off.
CV, okay, started with the Taj Group of Hotels, okay, worked with Reliance Industries, very different, 122 restaurants I opened, but it was a petroleum industry in those days, right? Then worked with Sodexo, okay, huge bulk catering, offshore, onshore, and so on and so forth. Worked with PVR, okay. I was Group CEO for Dadabai Group in Saudi Arabia, okay. I
And
had
Bahrain, yeah.
Yes, at Bahrain and Riyadh. I had 9 companies with me, from real estate, from furniture factory to 2 universities, and 36 hotels under me.
Wow.
It was so, and I could only do that. Okay, is because IHM, the way it there was a movie called Prahar. I don't know if you remember. Okay, it was army based. You know how they trained the commandos and all that. And so हमको इतना तोड़ा मरोड़ा था. I have no other ways. We were very flexible and we were very accommodating in whatever comes our way. I know we can handle it. So what else? I am so thankful to all the gurus who have over the years in IHM Aurangabad who were there, that have taught us. As a matter of fact, I was with Chef Satish Arora, who was director of food production of the Taj Group of
Right.
Hotels. He used to come to
Yeah.
IHM very often to give us classes. I was there with him last Saturday. And I was telling him, sir, because of you, I am where I am, because you came to IHM Aurangabad, said, son, you're doing well in kitchen. Don't go to F&B, come to kitchen. I'm going to take care of you. And yeah, so brilliant, absolutely.
No,
So thank
absolutely.
you.
No, that was a generation of stalwarts, Chef Satish
Indeed,
Arora,
indeed.
Chef Arvind Saraswat.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You got that.
and they spawned so many of us, so to speak. They inspired so many of us, and I think you're absolutely right. We just hope that we could be even a sliver of the influence that they were on other people.
Very
And
true.
you've shared so much light, and you've been so forthcoming with your knowledge. Really, really appreciate that. And building up on what you just said, you're absolutely right. Hotel management or hospitality management, culinary management trains you for life, because my wife used to, I used to think it was jokingly, but I think she was damn serious. When somebody asked me, because I'm really weird that way, somebody asked her why is she marrying me, she was very honest. She said he knows how to cook and he knows how to clean the house.
Intelligent woman, I must say.
She's like that. I don't have to do any more training, and I think her wishes came absolutely true during COVID. I handle the place like a pro, but otherwise, so one last question. If you were actually two last questions, if you were to expect 3 or 5 attributes of somebody who was going to take your place, or somebody who was going to grow into your place, okay, what do you think those 3 or 5 attributes should be?
I think first would be very high on integrity. Okay, there are no two ways about it. Okay, absolutely non-negotiable. Second is got to be very, very flexible, because in the corporate world there is nothing structured. Okay, you don't know what curveball comes how. Okay. Third is you need to be very, very analytical. Fourth is you need to know just not your market, but what is happening around the world. Okay, geopolitics is playing a very, very big this thing, right? Impact on our businesses today. Okay, directly or indirectly. Okay, whether it's the tariffs or whatever. Okay, there is some cheating. Last year there was a cheating that happened in NEET. Okay, so the admissions got delayed by 1 month, which impacted my business because I could not cater to 50,000 people. Okay, student admissions were delayed by a month. It was a huge business loss for me. So
Right.
So flexibility is another, knowing the market and ancillary market and what's happening in the world is very important. And third is, which I think most important, is you need to know your basics very well. Okay, whether it's the debit credit, whether it's the pot wash in your restaurant, whether it's the housekeeping, how a grease trap needs to be done or cleaned. You need to know the basics. I'm not saying you need to do that every day, but till the time you know it, you'll not earn the respect of people, right? And speaking of respect, the more respect you give people, the more you earn it back.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the wallet that should always be full. Okay, it's like knowledge. The more jitna kharchoge utna milega. So I think these are the few things, if I've answered your question.
Wonderful. I think that was brilliant. And the last question, if you could go back to your younger self, what advice would
Please
you
tell me
give?
how.
Or let's say you would like to, you see a younger you in somebody else, maybe your child, maybe your nephew. What advice would you give? Something that you wish somebody had told you at that point in time.
I would say have your eye on the future, okay, but don't make it a life's mission, okay, because no matter how well you're planned, okay, there is something always that may or may not go as per planned, but don't forget to live today. Okay, that's, I mean, I think we've gone past a lot of experiences, okay, but don't stop living. So enjoy today, plan for tomorrow, and I'm sure there are good things gonna come up.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Ishaan. It was wonderful speaking to you. I mean, you've shared so much knowledge, and we really, really hope you can maybe virtually or on campus conduct a class for the
Anytime,
students.
anytime.
Okay. We would really look forward to that. Thank you for being generous with your
Zubin,
time, with your
two
knowledge.
things that I want to say. First, I
Yeah.
was very nervous before this, okay, because especially, because it was IHM Aurangabad, so I know the standards, and I was like speaking to the principal and the dean and of your stage, I was little hesitant. Okay, that is one. Second, I love Alan Dukas on your wall. Okay, I'm seeing that picture after a very, very long time, and that shows the kind of passion you have as a chef, and that to a doctor chef. So you accomplish so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you so very much. And very openly, I like to put it on record. Anytime, anything that I can do for the college, for my alma mater, for the students who are passing out, or the alumni who's there, it'll be always a pleasure. I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you, Ishaan. Really appreciate. And
Thank you very much.
well spotted, Chef Alan Dukas. It's an autograph photo. And,
Oh, fabulous.
and behind me somewhere is Chef Anton Mosiman.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
I can see
the one up there, the blue one above
Okay.
the dog painting, that Chef Anton
Yeah.
Mosiman. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't have an autograph photo, but Chef Massimo Bottura completes the trifecta. I have an autograph book.
Fabulous.
I interned under Chef Marco Pierre White at one point in time in my life.
I worked
Yeah.
with him in Bangalore. We sponsored his one of his events in one of my avatars. Fabulous.
Was that with World on a Platter?
Yes, very much. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think after I messed up in his kitchen, that's a story for another day. I don't think he ever
Sure,
signed
we'll catch
it.
up offline as well. Great.
I'll tell you, it was really naughty. I mean, it was inadvertent from my side, but yeah, but that's a great story.
I would like to go through your kitchen diaries once.
We should. I honestly, it's the best story. You will laugh your guts out when you hear it.
Lovely.
Okay. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you
time.
so much.
Really,
Zubin.
really
And
appreciate
thank you for your
it.
team,
And
Zakir and Smita as well. Thank you very much.
look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Pleasure. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.